the village liaison wanted to know about our meetings?
Yeah.
Stana, okay.
Yep, Stana's the liaison.
Who is?
Stana Weisberg, Weisberg. She is a village trustee. She is their liaison to the police commission.
So did we invite her to this?
I don't know if she made the.
The village made the decision to send a liaison to the meetings, so which is, the meeting has been noticed publicly. I did not send out an invitation.
We should probably add it to the list.
I'm gonna add her to the email that you put out, the recent one.
That can be done.
So, Cindy, tell me what you've been doing and why you, I mean, I'm just curious, why did you decide to do?
I've been talking about it with Essie. But it seemed interesting once I read into it. I have a law background. I'm a matrimonial and family law attorney. I practiced primarily in the city for a long period of time, and then moved back here when I had my daughter.
It's like,
Around, yes, we have similar stories. But it's nice being back here. I'm encouraged by some of the things I've seen and the strides I think the town is trying to make. I'm encouraged that there's a police commission. I think there's things I can go further with. I'm hoping this will be fruitful.
we'll just go around, Carrie, you know.
My name is Kari Rahman Bunce. I have a family of first responders, and obviously, one of the things that really drew me to being part of the police commission was hoping to increase community liaisonship and relationships with law enforcement and local school districts, and things that are happening in the community that are detrimental to not only Black and brown communities, but to anyone who would be the allies of those communities. Because we seem to be losing our balance in a lot of our community minded law enforcement. We're losing our foot patrols, we're losing a lot of our diversity and equity, and I want to bring that back because I think it did exist in this town at one time. I lived here most of my life. I think I left for maybe 5 years and came back, and it's changing in a way that I think is misrepresenting what this town can be and what it should be. And I would like to have a little bit of a hand in restoring the town that I grew up in, and
You will.
Hmm?
And hear the last thing you said.
the town that I grew up in, and that I know.
So you've been here for a long time. Okay. My name is Steve Ford, retired school teacher. Taught in a lot of different schools, New York City, schools for Port Place, adolescents, prisons, and ended my career at New Falls High School. I did assistant principal 80 to 81, and then I went to another school, then I went to Poughkeepsie, and then I came back to New Falls for my last 11 years. I've had interesting relationships with police departments personally, and individual policemen personally. I was in New York City when they were trying to get the civil review board. You guys are too young to remember that. That was a big political thing to get the police commission for New York City, not have the police checking out the police. And I think it's important, and race has always been an interest of mine, something that I always try to bring into my teaching and deal with it. I don't know successfully, but it was always something that I was aware of. And this is the reason, with all the shit that was going on with Black Lives Matter and everything, I felt like, even though I'm 80 years old, I should get off my butt and maybe try and do something.
I'm Tara Fitzpatrick. I'm a retired public health nurse from Dutchess County, 32 years. I had done the sexual assault forensic nursing program for the medical examiners as one of my many, many hats that I wore as public health nurse for 32 years. I am concerned about our police mentality, not necessarily here in New Paltz, but you know, this like warrior mentality as opposed to guardian mentality. And I really feel that there's a way to move that through. I'm very active politically. I'm working with Juan Figueroa on his reelection campaign because I really believe that he has been a transformative law enforcement and could be a model for how you know, law enforcement can engage and address public health issues like the opioid crisis, like mental health, like the pipeline from school to prison, you know, and that there's a lot that could be done in being on the ground and holding people accountable. So, and I was really heartened in our first meeting when I had read the annual report and was able to ask, you know, questions of the chief and some of his responses. So I appreciated being able to have that dialogue with him. So, and I'm looking forward to having further dialogue.
Hi, I'm Janice Butcher. I've been a resident of New Paltz for probably about 35, 36 years. Started out my career as an investigator for domestic violence and sex abuse. And I've always had a heart for this type of engagement. Due to not being able to drive, I couldn't do the job any longer. So I moved on. And now we have a lot of youth that are in the communities that do not see opportunities. And because of that, I need them to be able to engage with the officers in the community, because if they're too afraid to walk out their homes, or they're too afraid to go into an interview because they will be judged one way or another due to the fact that they walked in that store previous and they were seen as a threat. So now they're coming back for an interview because the police now have come in because, oh, you know how that happens. I can go into so many stories, so I'm not going to, but that's why I'm here. Because our children have to be comfortable with officers. They have to be able to do just like everyone else and have encouragement that they can do anything in this world in 2022, which unfortunately, and I can only speak for the children of color that I have that are in my area, in my surroundings. They don't feel like this is part of their America. So when you have the officers on the television showing no restraint, you have some officers in your own town saying things that you are saying, I make you nervous and you want me to put my hands with? Okay, that's a problem. So that's why I'm here. Did y'all want more about me or? Because that's my real goal is the children. Mhm.
How does that thing work?
This is the camera that's
Just
running
rotate
through.
it.
the
Why, you
laptop.
wanted me to look that way?
No, I just wondering, because it was changing focus.
Okay.
It focuses
It's
on
voice
the
activated.
speaker.
Thanks.
Well, you're welcome. I can keep going, but we got a time limit.
I don't know.
So I believe the chief is gonna be at our next meeting, but he did forward a report. I don't know if anyone's had an opportunity to read it, but if not, we'll have more, I think we'll have more time to discuss with him. Any questions we may have regarding the report.
I asked a question about like, exceptional men,
Mhm.
and he described it, and you said, oh, I understand now, but you had the same question, you said, I still don't understand. Explain it.
I took it as it's sort of just like a catch-all.
We don't know.
They don't have it, instead of having 50 different words to explain something, it was like, well, it doesn't fit into these characters, so this is our catch-all word.
I have
That's
to
how I
look at
took
that
it.
again, because I thought the other categories were broad enough that it should have fitted. Something like that. I'll look at that.
Well, since you brought that memo up, I could not open it, the report. It said access denied, so I don't know if that had anything to do with the website I was pulling it from. I'm in Gmail, so I could not pull it
Don't know because I wasn't copied on it, but.
up. So
I have a Gmail email and I was able to open it.
when
Ditto.
when I open mine, it says no access. So you want me to show you?
No,
Do you have, maybe some type of phone, do you have
Samsung,
or an iPhone?
Samsung,
You do, okay, because mine's an iPhone, so it opens right up, but sometimes I'll.
but I also went on my computer.
It didn't open.
No,
Let me see if I can.
Is your
share it.
email registered? I mean, maybe because our email's not, your email's not registered, is your email registered?
you're sending it to AOL, right?
Yeah,
I have, it's in the AOL account.
And I think I opened it before that whole
Okay.
email thing where we needed the additional
Mhm.
security.
let me work on that tomorrow.
But I do know I had to open it in my Google Doc in order to be able to see it. I couldn't open it directly from the email. I had to download it into my Google Docs and then I was able to open it. And it could have been because it was 25 pages, you know? So that's.
I'm happy to look at it with you before you leave so that we can just check
Yeah,
and see.
just when I clicked on it, it said access to that. So.
I have it up right now, can we try and see what happens?
Sure.
What's your email? I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
She's gonna send it.
She's gonna say,
I'm
I
trying
don't
to
know,
think,
something.
which one, Janbo, JANBO 780 at AOL.
B is in boy,
Boy.
O is in Oscar,
Yes,
780@AOL.com.
correct. Now I gotta send this back home.
Mhm.
Haven't said we-
Yeah, remember, the meetings are open to the
No, I
public.
know, but it's nice.
Yeah.
You're also welcome to, invite public comment as well. If anybody had anything they wanted to say.
I can just talk to the public.
When she says invite public comment, she means ask the public if they have anything that they want to say. So that goes to your point of if somebody says something, there's a point in the agenda when you open it up for the public to say something,
okay.
whether it's on Zoom or.
I was gonna
in
say, and
person.
I'm presuming they can use the chat feature to ask questions if they have.
I don't know that we have the
That's,
chat open.
that's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's,
Or we could decide if we want to have people email ahead of the meeting, comments maybe?
People can send in
You do
public
that
comments.
Okay.
as well.
They can. And I just want to say, you know, for like town board for public comment, we let people make public comment and we do not respond, or at least we try not to respond. That's supposed to be our policy. Sometimes people do respond,
Mhm.
but we have a policy of just listening to the public comment and something that we can look into later. But oftentimes if you do the back and forth with people, then, you know,
So
it takes a lot of time
So you
out of
take
your
the-
meeting when you have an agenda. You do want to stick to your agenda.
So it's comment, not
It's a
a
comment.
question.
Correct. It can be a question, but it does not mean you have to respond
Respond.
right away.
And I guess I just wanted to clarify because not having an agenda, so, you know, the fact that we're all here, we didn't open with the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, I didn't know how you guys wanted to format it in a way that actually created that we have started the meeting, other than we're just sitting here talking.
That's completely up to you.
Okay.
Normally a chair would open the meeting,
Gotcha.
so.
So you
should-
As a-
You should appoint a
So
chair.
we're in an organizational phase.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it-
This is
isn't
the
that
organizational meeting.
Isn't that the right time to go to the bathroom? But you'll come back.
Not it, right? Should we maybe discuss appointing a chair or how we want to do that?
Well, let's see if anyone would be interested in serving as chair. Well, anybody interested in serving as?
I don't have a
chair?
problem with it, unless someone else wants to do it, I'm fine to do it.
This year is not a good time for me to become a chair, and maybe if we rotate it, like if we decided that somebody wants to do it for years, and how they can handle it, maybe we can,
Right.
do
Well,
it that way.
why don't-
And I would also just say, keep in mind that you all have different terms. So when you say for a year, make sure it's someone that is in
How
for a
long is
year.
your term?
Mine is 2.5 years.
Okay, so you get the max.
No, no, I don't have
I
a
think you do have the max.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone else
They
has
couldn't do
25.
three.
You have three.
No, they couldn't
Oh,
do
yeah,
three.
3 years.
They couldn't do.
There is
three.
a-
I have two, I have a 2-year term.
No, so 2.5 is the max, because they couldn't do three, because they didn't get around to appointing us until 6 months after they thought.
Oh, that's right. So it should be 3, but.
It should be
because
3, but
of-
it's
We
2.
have an actual date.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
25.
But I'm 2.
Yes.
On my half, so.
Do you want to be chairman for 6 months?
If nobody has any objection, I think it'd be great if you could serve the chair.
Are you gonna nominate her?
Yes, I nominate Cindy to be chair.
I second the nomination.
I decline that. That's fine. That's
All
fine.
in favor, all in favor? Aye.
I,
All opposed? Congratulations, Cindy.
Congratulations,
Okay,
Chairwoman,
I am,
Chairperson.
Madam
Chairperson,
Chairwoman.
Madam Chairperson.
all right.
Now that
So
we've
we
done
got
that,
that
I have
done.
responsibilities of chair.
I'm just gonna open the meeting.
Follow
We're gonna-
the agenda,
Follow the agenda, which is.
create an agenda.
Do you, well, since this is our organizational meeting, does anyone have any suggestions on how we want to run our meeting? I think if we keep it close to a certain system each month. it'll be-
Well, before we talk about running it, is this, we have to pick a regular date that we want to.
That's
So
right.
why don't we try and do that, see if we can
Okay.
get a date that everybody can make. and then we can
I
set
think,
that.
I think this Tuesday worked for most people. Do you think that is going to
Today's
continue?
Monday.
Today's
No,
Tuesday.
today's Tuesday.
Oh, my God. Thank you. Being retired does have some benefits, but
Congratulations.
losing the days.
We might have to take away. Tuesday works. for
Yeah.
everybody? Great.
It's, so what is this, the
My
first
recollection, it's
Tuesday?
the second Tuesday.
Second Tuesday.
It's the second
This
Tuesday.
is second
of the
Tuesday.
month.
So-
And the room is open and available and I have it.
The only
booked
time
with
we'll have is on the
community.
election days.
Yeah, but it's once a month, so I think I can check how that lines up
No,
for an
I mean, the
August
big
meeting, but I think.
November.
It's November, is it the first Tuesday in November? or
No, it's
second?
the eighth.
Tuesday.
It's November.
So yeah, election day would need to relocate or
And that's the
postpone
second
or
Tuesday in
reschedule.
November.
or-
Okay,
or
So
something like
November.
that. But it, to my recollection, the second Tuesday was just about the only day that worked for everybody,
Well, that's
so.
Yeah.
you stick to that, that's probably a good idea.
So what happens in the court, where the police commission used to meet on Tuesdays? Is that because of the fact that they have court on Tuesdays? and
Yeah.
Wednesdays? Okay, so are we always going to have, Rob here during our meetings or only when we ask him to be?
No,
Okay.
he will always be in the
He-
police
So
commission
is
meeting.
that
He
gonna
gives the
conflict?
report.
Is that gonna? conflict?
Oh, is he expected to be at
That's what
court
I'm
for?
wondering. He's not
No.
He doesn't go to court. No,
Good question.
that is a good question.
I can double check that with him too, just to make sure. that is-
I know once the school district starts also, they have their safety meetings and things like that. and that
Yeah.
sits on those boards. And so we have to make sure that they know what time our meeting is, so that they don't
Mhm.
choose the same
Yeah,
night and then conflict with what he's doing here. Because I
Right.
know that would pull him because that's about the kids as well.
right.
So I just want to make sure that.
And remember that your meetings will be publicly noticed.
Right.
In Cody, Wyoming also.
As well.
No, not unless one of you goes out to Cody
If,
Wyoming.
wherever you are, wherever one of the members are, then you have to notice that's where, so that the public can come to where you are. So if you happen to be in Cody, Wyoming, then yes. You would invite people to be there as well.
so Kathy, would you be the one who does the public notices on our behalf?
That is a good question, because the town clerk was doing that. But she separated the recording secretary part out, now that it's not for the town board as the police commission, because she's the clerk to the town board. I will check with her and see who would notice the meetings.
So just for FYI, Chief said that July 7th, he met with private school administrators as well as the New Paltz Central School District interim superintendent, and that was on a Thursday. So I think we're good for Tuesdays,
Right.
because it sounded like that there were those meetings on Thursdays as opposed to Tuesdays. Just only in looking at the report that he had sent.
Kathy, will we have a secretary?
Yes. Is one, if you want to make an official request to the board, you can do that. I can get that on the agenda for the 18th.
Yes,
Chair.
I agree with that. That'd be helpful. That was actually my next question. Okay, so do you want to, when we start off our meetings, are we going to start right away with Chief Lucchese? How do you think is the best way to structure it?
So I, only because they did the Pledge of Allegiance and then they opened it, in board meetings to public comment. So I think that might be in the interest of the public coming, being able to allow them to, voice their concerns or make their comments. And then for us to have an opportunity to hear that and then let the chief make his report. Because I think it would be important to acknowledge that the public is here to watch or say something or whatever. So my encouragement would be that our agenda would allow for public comment.
In the beginning
In
of
the
the meeting?
beginning, exactly. And I kind of liked Essie's recommendation about allowing the public to make their comments so that we have an opportunity to digest it and hear it and then be able to look into things that they are saying before we would engage.
Does everyone agree with that? Everyone have a
Time
different
limit?
position?
Oh,
Is there a time limit?
On public comment,
we could.
We do
Because it
3
can go-
minutes
it can
for,
go on.
Per person?
yes, in town board. That's just, I'm just telling you what we do.
So in order to control the flow, do we have people sign up in advance to speak? I guess they walk in so that we know how many people are signing up and then remove the sign up sheet at a certain point, or do we leave it up the whole time? Just 3 minutes.
That's up to you.
3 minutes will end up being 4 hours if we don't limit it down.
And I do believe signing up because, and then after a certain time, remove it, but then we can start with, I think that's it.
That's a
Do
good
we
idea.
stop anyone that really had a bad situation? Yeah, you have to. And they have to email give them the way of how
is
to
there some way
email.
we could say
Prior
3
to
minutes? and let's-
Give them the way of how to email prior to coming to a meeting. This way, if they choose, they can have those on the floor and they can be read.
Well, there's a link on the police commission page, on the police page to the police commission complaint form, which would come to you as police commission.
So we'll look through those
anybody can
first,
submit
see
that at
what
any time.
Okay.
So that gives them that avenue, so they don't get upset. If they won't be able to speak, give them at least the information on how they can still.
And I want to say that I really like your idea of the sign up because then it allows us to get back to people if they want to put a cell phone or an email address as part of, just being able to have us be accountable to them if they've come to make a public comment.
And I think it should be email so that there's a written
Okay,
record of what they asked for, and our response to them.
and is 3 minutes enough? I mean, I hear that, but I think sometimes people have a hard time getting started with maybe what they're,
Would it be possible to set 3 minutes and then to extend it at the discretion of, so that would allow 3 minutes? And we could say that you've had your 3 minutes, so you have another minute to wind it up or something along those lines.
that's a good point.
So almost a yield time to them.
Yield time to them, if we choose to. So my next question is, if in fact we have in the agenda, if the public agenda comes out and we explain that from this time to this time, people could come physically and sign up and say, that they want to speak at that particular meeting, and as long as they're here by that time, so we have a time frame, and then people can email prior to, so that we have the opportunity to speak or to read what it is that they have to bring up during the meeting. My question then is what Mrs. Fitzpatrick brought up. Before we speak or answer anything, we have to talk together, and then how do we then address it, because we still have to address it in public. So we can't actually communicate with them and say, give them an answer to whatever it is that they're asking, or, entertain the conversation individually. We have to do it as a group.
Yep.
So would we invite them to come to the next meeting so that we could address it for them, or?
Or when we discuss it and have some kind of conclusion or whatever, we send them something and say if they want to come to the next meeting and discuss it further.
Well, depending on the nature of what they've brought forward, you know, we would probably want to do either a executive session to at a later point after they're, you know, disclosing, or, you know, a complaint form or something. I think that you make a good point about us having a united consensus in addressing someone coming forward soon.
Which is why I think it should be, for the most part, it should be in writing, because then we can tailor what our message is or response after we've looked into it and so forth. Unless it's, you know, I can't think. of
It's
something.
hard because people are gonna come to us with really, real authentic emotional moments
Mhm.
that they've experienced. If we tailor everything that we do, then we're not really speaking to their emotional moments. We're kind of giving them more political conversation to have, so I think it's better if, well, I'm not gonna say what I think is better, but I feel
Okay,
that when we have people come, you know, if we understand that they have something that's going on and we invite them to come and have the conversation with us in, you know, in the moment, if they couldn't make it that day and they email and they say, listen, I really need to talk to the board, and then we make time for them to do so the next time, or I think it makes us a little more accessible because we're supposed to be a humanity type entity rather than, you know, because we could email, answer, and then it would be disconnected and they may not find what it is that they need in that moment, because if we can engage them, and I'm not sure how that works now with board meetings, if you are a resident, you could have the conversation in the public commentary. Because we may have clarifying questions that we need to ask, they may have more things that they need to say that they're not able to address, like you said, because it sometimes takes a minute to get started. And if they email the questions and they're emotional in that moment, the email may sound different than it would when they actually come here and they've had time to calm and they've maybe gotten a few more answers, and then we can assist them with what it is that they may need. So my other question then becomes, when you get into conversations with people that talk about any protocols or rules, regulations, and laws, typically, if it's a difficult question, you have some sort of legal representation. I know we have Ms. Sanchez, but if it has to do with police law and regulations, should we have a point where we don't have conversations in that moment because we're going to answer something that we may then be held accountable for? And we should have someone that we can consult for that?
Well, one of the things I think that the difference between people making a complaint and having public commentary, because we could always refer people who in public commentary are actually making a complaint, that we have a process for that without necessarily engaging with them so that we get more information. And since the chief will be here to give the monthly report, he'll be hearing the comments that the public is making as well. So I was of the mindset that, you know, people who are coming to make a public comment about, you know, the police or, you know, the stop signs on Henry W, why aren't more people being slow? You know, that kind of thing was where I was thinking the public comment would come, as opposed to people with a specific complaint, because we do have that process. And that would be something that our chair could refer the person making a public comment to the process that we already have in place. So I would tease that out. And I, again, will defer to Essie, because I really think that that kind of back and forth is really not the place for the public comment, in terms of just having that unfettered time to express themselves with us being active listeners.
Janice, you want to say something?
I do. The email being sent. Okay, I've done this before. I've sent an email to an issue in town, and then I put my name on public comment. But they already had the information. It's not stopping the person from doing public comment, so that shouldn't be a real problem. If they don't come, we still have the information. So no one, I don't think is stopping anyone from making public comment, because it's a good thing.
So
So that's
Janice,
not
would
what my
you say that if
concern
someone sends an email, that it should be read into the record as public comment?
is. Okay. If they're here to represent themselves, then they can talk for themselves. But if it's a if it's an email that was sent to us for an answer, we still would have to go through the same process as we would normally do, meet before we bring something up in public.
What
So
the-
either way,
What the town clerk does for that is, any comments that are emailed are put in the text of the minutes, but they are not read out at the table.
Okay,
Because an email can go much longer than 3 minutes if you're reading it out.
Okay.
so we still have an avenue to answer them the way we would, but.
Or,
For
and
public
they have
hearings,
they
do
have a
that.
way of being in the public record as well.
Yes, that's why they do
Yeah.
that for public hearings.
I got you.
So,
So
And
that's an
But,
option.
and just for a point of clarification, public hearing is different than public comment, right?
Yes.
Because public hearing is like, we're gonna change the zoning law and we're opening it to public hearing, as opposed to having as part of our agenda, the opportunity for the public to make comment,
Right.
you know, so I guess I just wanna make sure I understand the difference of that.
Just for clarification, we have a zoning board, so you will not be doing any changing. of
No, no,
zoning.
no.
But I just want that to be clear, but
But
yes,
I was
they
using that as
are
an
different.
example.
They are absolutely different things, right?
Okay.
A public hearing is is on a specific topic, and you say, we're gonna be discussing this topic, you can come and give your public comment on that specific thing.
right.
It is also important for you to keep in mind, I really do think that you should just be listening during public comment. It's really important. And then if you have questions for the chief, you can ask those questions later on. You don't feel the need to answer or fix somebody's issue at that meeting. It's not necessary, right, to do it right then and there. It might be something that needs to be looked into. The other thing you need to remember with public comment is sometimes people say nice things, right? It's
Right.
not necessarily a bad thing or a complaint or something they want to change. A lot of times it is somebody just saying, thank you, or you did this well, or someone did that well. Also, the chief gets, and then complaints are also something different, right? Police complaints are taken in a different mechanism as well. And the chief also sometimes gets, I think what they're called commendations, where people write to him and say, you know, this officer did this wonderful
Yeah,
thing
there's
for
a
me,
nice
and
one
thank
on
you.
There's the last
um,
two pages.
for that kind of thing, right? That's part of his report. And then lastly, I just want to say, I think it's really important that you let public comment be as accessible as it can be. If people want to email, if they want to come in and speak, you should be as welcoming as you can to getting public comment, right? Because you don't want people to say they only want public comment in writing and I don't write well, or any of that, right? For people to feel bad or have any reason not to give their comment.
So we want to be active listeners, but not commentators on the public comment.
You can be what you want. I just suggest
I'm-
that you do
I'm-
take the time to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will be what I want. Thank you.
Yes, I don't want to be, I'm here to be the liaison and to
Right, well, you,
guide you, but not
but
tell
you,
you how,
but
not,
you've done this before as part of the
Yes,
board. so
right.
I hope that you give us the benefit of your experience.
I plan
Do
to.
you think we should do since let's say email, or if they do it online, and we want to be able to read them at least before the meeting, we should have it, if you wanted us to review this before this meeting, you should have it in 2 days before, it will give us an opportunity to look at it.
I feel like that's already on the website. You
Is
can
it?
correct me if I'm wrong, Kathy, that it says public comment before. Oh, it's not. Okay,
No,
okay. If it makes it in the agenda,
But isn't that part of this encrypted email thing, that whatever comes to the police commission comes immediately to
whatever
us?
anybody would send to that police commission at townandnewpaltz.org comes to all of you
Right,
for
Okay.
review.
as if it were our email.
Yeah.
As the guy on the phone was helping me understand.
and then again, when you open up for public comment, there's gonna be people who come that you didn't know were coming or didn't send an email. And that's why you should just listen, and then be able to respond. Otherwise, it's like, can we respond to this one? Can we fix this right away?
And
It
having
gets
the
hard.
sign in, I think, is helpful.
Any other
With
trap you could fall into as an individual responding, you would be responding in the way you think it should be, not the way the commission might decide that it would be. And so you'd be out there saying one thing, and then you get together, and the commission said, no, we're gonna do it this way. And
Yeah.
Is it-
You can, we do sometimes ask questions though, for like
Yeah.
clarification
That's what I
purposes.
had asked before, just
That to me is
clarifying.
the most conversation you should be having with people.
But it shows active listening.
And also sometimes saying thank you, because you're right that sometimes people are emotional and they're excited, and just to say thank you for coming and letting us know, that kind of thing is really nice too.
Now, I don't know how the Board of Education works, but they can't function as individuals, they can only function as a board. It's that's similar to this, right? We don't, the only thing we can do is together as an organization. We don't,
You mean by making representations on behalf of the commission?
like sort of acting as the police commission by doing something when they're not in session. We don't act as the police commission. I'm not making myself clear.
Yes, you
Just
are.
amazing.
You are, you make
You
yourself clear.
are.
I would think that would be the case.
So, okay, now that you've said that, when it comes to organizations having a spokesperson, who's the spokesperson for the group if they have to, like news commentation come, want to say something, who do you direct them to? Do we have
I was gonna say
an
don't.
official head to go to? In the, I know,
That's the reason why we got a chair.
I know for us,
That's the reason.
I know for us, but I wanted to know if government had if the government had
She's
a
it. then.
specific thing for us to do.
No,
Okay,
You can make that decision.
Yeah.
okay, so as long as that's good, then.
Oh, we're
you
making that
be-
decision for.
I'm asking because we don't want to speak
Right.
independently because we are the commission.
She speaks, well, she will speak for the commission.
After consultation.
Right.
Okay, so that.
I
now
I
we
would
know
not make
you
a
will be-
representation on the commission on something we wouldn't, I
Right.
talked about it already.
Okay.
Well, and then the town had already adopted a mission statement for the police commission that really, I think, speaks to what we're about, you know, and having one voice after we've had deliberation is, I think, the most important thing in showing a unified, you know, cohesive,
Oh,
a we, because they say the we.
when.
Well, I just didn't want to make the assumption that we were all on the same page, so.
But I
Just
think
wanted
we
to
can sit
clarify.
here as she's verbalizing the decision of the commission, we didn't agree with, and probably we can sort of make faces.
Behind your back.
I think before anything, any major position I would go at, I think there would have to be a serious conversation and then, you know,
Well, you
we're still
trained.
discussing it.
You're trained, you're still talking,
Getting
you're
getting
trained.
consensus, hopefully.
You know exactly what you need to do. So,
So if we're gonna start off with public comments in the beginning, then our sign up sheet, if we're going to use that, and I think it's a good idea, it would have to be before the 7 o'clock. By
And we would
7,
be meeting here, right?
right,
So,
So like what, 6:45 to 7?
Right.
15
To sign
minutes.
up.
you can put the
Yes, I know.
podium over there and put a book on top of it. Sign it.
now,
or there's the desk out in the doorway, you know, people can sign up there.
how far does this microphone capture? Or will we
Pretty
need
much get
another?
the whole room.
Okay. All right. So
And this is all recorded?
We're on
And it's
YouTube.
live on YouTube.
I'm gonna make my
Okay.
kids watch me.
Well, kids see. I'm gonna become a YouTube sensation.
So when are we starting with the Pledge of Allegiance? Does anyone have a?
I would
position in
make a
regards to that?
motion that we would open with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Is it required that we open it?
It's, I don't think
It's not
it's
required.
required, but that's why I'm making a motion that we would start the time with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I don't have a particular preference either way.
There's only a motion.
Yeah.
It hasn't been seconded.
Right, it hasn't been
Just saying.
Okay, so
So do we
We'll
have a
just-
second?
I don't think so.
We haven't yet.
We should talk about
So I
it.
would say
So there's no
So the
discussion.
motion can stand.
it can
once,
stand. Right?
Or twice, or 3 times, and nobody seconding it can die right where it started.
So I think then we'll just start with welcoming whoever comes to the meeting, welcome our guests from YouTube. And then we'll move to public comments, and then at that point, are you guys comfortable with moving on to Chief Lucchese's report?
Can I just make one suggestion is that you should make a motion to open the meeting. And
Got it.
someone second, right, and then open the meeting that way.
And then that would be the official start of the time.
I shouldn't say should, you could.
Yeah.
But that makes sense.
Right.
And you will also need to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Usually that's done for the beginning. just get it
Okay.
going.
Before, I think that makes
No,
sense
it's
before the
after-
public comments.
After public comment.
Are we fine?
Is
Everyone?
it after
Usually
public?
it's after public comment. We let the public go first and then.
But you give them too much admin.
Okay,
More importantly, you know, in case they need to go, sometimes, you know, people want to say it and run to the next
Yeah.
meeting
got it, yeah.
or what have you.
Okay.
And yes, in general, making a motion and someone second, right, so that's everyone's voice being heard, and then recording the yays and nays.
Is there a motion to go with minutes after public comment?
Second,
Approved?
Yep.
Okay, and then, does anyone have a different suggestion other than that going to Chief Lucchese's report after the minutes?
no, I think that's the hardest. It'll be different.
Okay.
Now, here's my question.
Mhm.
If we're putting it in a quasi-legal document, it's, you know, the agenda for public commentary. If he can't make it, can we put him or his, or
Designated.
Designated.
because in that way, the commentary doesn't stop if he's unavailable. But he also might want to appoint someone to come in that particular day because there's something in the report that's more germane to their piece than to his overall. And he might suggest that we have, you know, more clarifying questions and therefore he'll bring someone else with him. And then that person will say, "We'll speak as well."
One of the things I was thinking of doing just for myself, and I don't know if this is permissible, asking the chief for a tour of the police department, meeting the people behind the scenes. Is that stepping outside my police commissioner? And
Well, I know that I asked the chief about the Platic Hill Avenue incident to see the body cam footage because that was what Neil had suggested during that first meeting, that there was an opportunity that it was very interesting. So then the chief said he would need to connect with Neil on that, and I have not yet heard. So I do think that having, you know, a tour, and I think I reached out to Kathy about the training, because I don't know if anybody else remembers, but during that application, there was that list of trainings that, you know, are you willing to participate in these? And of course, I didn't save the sheet to know when and where. So that was part of what I was interested in as well.
Yeah,
So-
Chief Lucchese can definitely give you the trainings and with adequate notice, yes, show you body cam footage.
Right.
And I was
And
gonna,
also a tour.
Yep.
And just
So we
remember
don't-
when you're
we
thinking
don't
about
have-
meeting the people, that they have different tours, so when you come, it's not like you're gonna meet the whole.
Right, because
Or everyone.
they were kind of.
Who's- yeah.
right, and I remember, I think it was the day of my interview online. I think it was Diana Francis who had said when she had been a commissioner, she was able to ask the, you know, the weapons lockers and things like that, and they, a lot of, do a ride along. And they didn't necessarily do that as a group, it was just something as a commission, and they came back to the group saying, I did X, Y, and Z, and
You asked the chief to see body camera footage, and he said he had to talk to Neil.
Neil, because I had said to him, because Neil had made that offer during the meeting, that it's so
But
interesting.
It sounds like what I'm hearing is that that's not the case. You can just ask for it.
I asked for it, so I just was giving the chief a chance to check it with Neil about it.
Okay.
Just a question about that, had you been appointed police commission by then?
Yeah, it was
Oh,
then
it was
first
after.
night that they gave the,
After we
the
were.
report.
After you had been, okay.
I was thinking maybe it was, the town board still acting as a police commission, so maybe that's why he felt that he needed to.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
fine, and it was just the Platic Hill Avenue report that he had given, and when Neil said it's really interesting to see the body footage, I thought, oh, here's a really good opportunity because had a lot of questions about the report he was giving on that Platic Hill incident because of its proximity to the SUNY New Paltz campus and the number of people involved.
So body cam footage would be reviewed in executive session, correct? So are we going to hold executive session or would it be viewed in public session like this one?
I had
You
the
can-
impression that it was an individual thing unless there was a question about it.
It would be at the station.
Right.
But we can view
We
it
could talk about it.
individually, but if we feel like we need to see it as the commission, could also have it brought here.
I don't know that
Or
he's
we could
brought it.
all
I
go-
think it's something
We
that
could all
you,
go there.
right. But you, again, you don't have to go together because it's hard. As you guys have seen, just trying to get a meeting date is difficult, right? So it's hard to do that.
But if, let's say, well, two of you went and you said, I'd like to bring this up in executive session, if
Right,
this,
I think we
this is a
should-
concern, we could bring
Yes,
that
we
up.
can.
Look at this.
Yeah, and for me, it was just an opportunity to learn because Neil
Right.
had made the suggestion, and since I had had the questions about that particular report, it seemed like a good learning opportunity.
I want to know what he says. Okay, so we have the report. Any recommendations of anything else we should cover besides something that might be there's an executive session?
I did want to ask, do we get a paper copy of the report or is there at least one? Because I'm still a little challenged reading stuff on a computer and I'm a better like highlighter, note taker.
I printed mine.
Yeah,
I like paper. So it's,
since I retired, I'm just gonna, because Kathy knows I don't have a printer because it's all about minimalism and simplicity. So I just was wondering if there would be an opportunity.
Put it on my list of things to check with the chief.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's not like the whole thing, but just
Mhm.
some of the meat and potatoes stuff.
Is
Would
this
the report
anybody else
itself or
know
the
if they
exhibits?
would want a hard copy?
Hmm?
Would anybody else know ahead of time if they want a hard copy? I can just.
I like to mark mine up, but I also have a printer, so it doesn't matter. I can print
Steve,
mine.
would you like?
Well, I'm gonna see how much it takes printing it out.
Okay.
It's a big thing.
Yeah. I'm
And it
seeing if I
could
can
be,
download it
varies,
first.
All
right?
right,
It could be
right,
a
that
month-
first
month
one's first.
to month.
Then I'll figure that out.
Right, if it's a 50-page report, yes, I want.
Yeah.
Right, it depends on like defensive action reports and that kind of thing.
Right.
The months vary.
And my partner might appreciate it. I'll print on that office.
The public, have access to those reports? Only reason I'm asking is we're
No.
printing things out, and y'all gotta forgive me, I am
Yeah,
a
yeah.
government worker, so technically my mind thinks more or less on procedures,
I can
so.
They
get,
have access
I
to.
can get a more detailed explanation from the chief for you of what is contained in there, because I believe some of it is exempt from FOIL, which means it would not be available.
Right, and I don't want us having copies hanging around, or something,
Right.
so. If we could just find that out first.
Well, there's the report part of it, and then there's the police action stuff that might
And I think,
be.
they don't want people's schedules out.
Exactly, and that would be totally understandable, because that's not.
I just want to address, because Cindy did ask a question about anything I suggest that you see. I think it's important for you to look at the law, which is something that I sent out to before, and it's on the website if you need access. Yep,
What is that?
the police commission law,
Mhm.
I guess the local law is what it is, law 34. It's definitely on the website. I know Kathy's always helpful whenever I ask for things. I hate to put you out there, but she's like amazing. And
She
if
prints
ever I feel like I
everything
can't
for me.
find anything, she will always forward it to you. I think it's also really important that you look at the NPPRRC, which is the New Paltz Police Reform and Reinvention. It's been a while since I've said that all, right? But their recommendations as to the, what the police commission should be and do. I think it's important for you at least to review that.
Right, I read that.
Wasn't it?
All
Yeah.
500 pages.
You don't have, I mean, there is a specific part about police commission, yeah, read it all, but that, there's a specific recommendation.
So that brings me to the next line of question. This is great, but if we happen to notice something that's along the lines of the trainings and the things that they were talking about, one of the things I think that I heard in common that we all talked about was, creating change, making things safer, things like that. So if we're just reviewing this and then moving on with our lives and waiting to review the next one, and just attending the trainings, at what point do we actually have the opportunity to help sit with them and select trainings that we might know are available? Talk about how to create liaisonship between them and school districts. Would be part of the liaisonship between them and school districts or community action groups, things like that, so that there is some sort of change that we're able to assist with. A lot of the times when we talk to people about what's happening with law enforcement, and I'm not gonna say specifically anything, but in general, things that I've heard are the way in which police themselves are trained. So is there a way to attend like a training or an academy to see what we see so that we can see what it is that people are talking about? Because I know there's a lot of, they have to keep themselves safe. We know that. So there are certain things that happen when you're in an adrenaline situation and you have to keep yourself safe. But what happens when the person in the car is also in an adrenaline situation because they're frightened and they have to keep themselves safe? So now we have two entities that are interacting based on adrenaline. What happens on the part of the person in the situation who's trained in order to de-escalate that particular situation so that it doesn't become a fatality or, headline news or something where they have to come in and report it to the police commission?
So are you basically asking how could we evaluate the training that police get?
Or can we at least, be part of it? I would love to be able to say, listen, there's things that are missing, can we add these components, things like that.
So that, to me, that sounds a little bit proactive, that I see the role, I could be wrong.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, that we are a little more proactive.
So, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so for instance, the chief is saying that they attended the Ulster County Intimate Partner Violence Task Force meeting, and it's just listed as an attendance. So that would be the kind of thing. How are the officers, is it the chief that's attending it? Is his rank and file members are attending it? Who's attending it? Because that's what I was kind of wondering is, are they doing a rotation? Do they have officers that are, spearheading their intimate partner violence? What would be those things where we could see some change occur because of the information that they're bringing back?
And what did they get out of it that it was worthwhile?
Or is
Let me
it
just say one thing to you
Sorry.
guys. The chief has absolutely encouraged all of you, as he has the police commission in general, to attend their trainings. Cardi, you're referring to like the police academy, that's not necessarily the chief's, right? That's not like their trainings that they do. So that's something that you can ask him about. And then always you can ask him about, right, when you see those trainings and who was there and who's invited and that kind of thing. Those are all questions
Or what was the
that
outcome
you
of
can
this
absolutely
meeting?
ask him. And yes, you can attend their trainings. And then you can ask him whether or not there's things about the police academy. And
Well,
find out
and I think,
what you can find out about, what those trainings are.
and
And
I think that-
if you
Yes.
can or cannot attend.
Can we be proactive in that way, like we can say, we think after 6 months, so we think there should be more, we want to see more foot patrols. Can we be that specific? Do we have that kind of juice?
I mean, we can make, I think, recommendations, but we're not,
Just recommendations.
You can certainly, yes, you can absolutely ask him and make recommendations
Okay,
about what you would
okay,
like to see.
Recommendations is like being on the committee, making a decision, and the person in charge doesn't enact your decision. But do we have the power to say, we want to see more? There's a question, I'm not saying I ever want to do it, but
I understand.
if we look
Whether
at
or not you
something and
can.
we say, you have to do this.
I'm not sure.
Well, okay.
I have to look at the law again and see.
Yeah, I need to look at it again too, because I'm gonna go, I think, a little more in depth, because I think as an oversight committee, you should have the ability to say, you know, we took a poll of the city and the city said we would like, you know, they would like to see more of, because we do need public opinion, because that's important. So if there's a certain corner, a certain place where people feel that there's, you know, more things are happening, like people are going through stop signs, like you had said before, and not stopping, and there's, you know, possibility of, you know, it's, this one's really dark, we just have somebody there, you know, that should be able to say to them, this is what we're hearing, is there a possibility you can?
Okay,
That's
sorry,
okay.
I had a moment. What the police commission would do is make those recommendations to the town board.
Okay.
It's the town board who makes the actual decision. So yes, you make your
Okay, so we
recommendations.
are-
If there's a question, because I might not necessarily be at every meeting, right? And if there's something that you have a question about, then you can ask me about it. And yes, you guys make the recommendations and then the town board votes on whether or not it's something,
Right.
that would happen.
We are.
And I do think that when the chief talked about the new hires and how they were going to be going to the police academy and that they wouldn't be available to actually be on patrol till April, I was pretty impressed with the fact that they do that much training, even though I think 2 of the 3 are coming from law enforcement already. So that would be, and that's what I was asking Kathy about, what are the kind of trainings that we're attending to be able to get the full breadth of what it is we're expected to oversight.
What I would hope that when we get to the part where the chief is giving us his report is that we have all had time to digest it and then really come to asking the questions we're asking here now about, well, about this and so forth. And I think that flows into whether it's recommendations, what proactive things that we want to take this commission forward. That should be the next step of our meetings. Even if it's just like one little thing that we're thinking about, you know, it doesn't have to be 30, 40 minutes of, we're going to change all this tonight.
I think that's a good point. It's really important to make sure that you ask the right questions, right? Like, so if you're thinking about whatever the decision might be, asking if it can be done, how it's gonna affect the officers, right? Because it's really important if we're talking about them, not just being warriors, but taking care of their community, right? We need to be able to also support them and give them what they need and not just say, this is what you have to be doing, right? There's a chain effect. So asking questions, I think, is really important before you make any recommendations.
What, I know that the public, based on the report that they issued, and I'm sorry to keep referencing a report that you haven't seen yet. But there's a part where the public talks about commendations for, you know, officers and they've written this or other like personal health things, you know, are built into the system for them to take care of themselves.
That's a cheap
That's a
question.
great, and it's interesting because I had asked, since we are part of the, you know, wellness for the officers, if they have an issue with the chief, they can appeal to the commission. I was wondering what was the employee assistance program, or do they have a wellness program in order to take care of themselves? So, and I didn't get a chance to ask that when we were, you know, first doing that, but I think that that's a really important component.
Because this past week, as we all know, is very, very heavy for all of them. And there were some who were working at the time, there were some who were able to take time for themselves, there were some who might not have been afforded the opportunity to do anything because the system has to keep moving forward. So is there anything, I'm sure they were taking care of each other, I can almost guarantee it. But what does this system put in place to just make sure that they're able to have what they need to heal? Because when you're talking about first responders, we're constantly in situations, unfortunately, that are more negative than not. You know, there's sometimes no respite whatsoever from negativity. So what happens to help them, guide them through it? What helps? Because a lot of people won't necessarily say, you know, I need help, I can't handle this, because I don't know many people that say I need help, I can't handle this. Especially when you're in a first responder situation where you're supposed to give the impression you can handle anything.
And you handle it for others too, right?
Right, and you absorb other people's emotions and so you're exhausted, you know, and you may not even say it, So what psychological safe spaces or safe spaces in general are being created for them to like, you know, go in a room and just scream as loud as they can, and nobody can hear it, it's soundproof, and then they walk out and, you know, life is different, you know, there's gotta be something, because these first responders in our town, in other towns, are working overtime, especially during pandemics, and they are not necessarily getting the opportunity to take a break. We don't have a lot of people in some capacities that are working because of choice, you know, it's everywhere. You know, you can't find workers at Tops, you can't find workers at ShopRite, you can't find police, you can't find anybody. So now we've got other people who are willing to take up the gauntlet, who are now working, you know, extra to pick up the slack, missing components in their own facilities. So there's gotta be something, because we can't have them out there exhausted and angry either, because that's not fair to them.
Yeah, and
Or sad.
I think you noticed that on the overtime report, is that what you're referring to? Because that's what I did as well, later in his report. And FYI, there is a lot of blackout of some of the report in this public venue. I was able to see more of the report at my house, so I don't know, that might have something to do with the,
Mine's on the phone, it's not redacted, I can see everything.
because it's saying there's preview files in two of the,
And you can't access it.
right,
That's what
but when I go further down, there's other stuff that is
Are you
available.
connected to the internet?
Mhm.
Oh.
I double checked that before. So anyway,
So if they have programs in place, and the issue is not the programs, but it's the issue is the person who's at risk won't go to them. So encouraging them to get there. That's the process that might be missing.
I don't know, I think we have to, when she comes, I think we gotta talk to them about what the programs are, how are people accessing them? You know, are the programs that are currently in existence making any changes? Do they need to be revamped? And there's all kinds of, you know, things that are now.
Right. Is there a stigma to even
Benefit.
accessing the program?
Right.
You know,
Well, there's-
I'm not, you know,
What's
Silent.
available, and does he think it's adequate, or does he think the lawyers need?
yeah, I was gonna say, one of the other things is if we're gonna be a body of appeal to the rank and file members, do we have a copy of the union contract to see what it is that their grievance process is? What have they negotiated for personal leave time for their employee assistance program? What is the access post you know, an incident? You know, I know from my sexual assault forensic nursing experience, you know, if cops shot somebody, they had 2 days before they were asked any questions. That doesn't happen in a sexual assault. You know, people are expecting that victim to know what happened to them immediately, you know, so I see that there's definitely some digging to do about the union contract to see what is available to
Right.
officers.
Well, and also, I mean, these officers are responding to that sexual assault, right? They have sisters, they have wives, they have daughters, they're impacted by that. So they're now having to take on or they are taking on whatever that person in that situation is feeling, and then expected to go right back out onto the road, you know, and finish the rest of their shift. But we don't know how that impacted them, or whether it's a trigger, whether there's something that's going on in their lives. Is there something in that moment, in that shift even? Can they tag out for 5 seconds and go do what they need to do and somebody else take over like a specific place? Do you know what I mean? These are things that I think we have to ask Chief Lucchese, because they're not robots. We can't expect them to absorb, you know, disharmonious situations and continue to just, you know,
Function.
be like these automatons that can turn on and off emotion and not take it home with them, because we're trying to also make sure that it doesn't impact them taking it home.
Right. I do know that in the sexual assault forensic nursing program, there was a lot of training of police officers, especially with Rebecca Campbell's research on memory and the way memory is stored. And there were a lot of police that were like, oh my goodness, had no idea, you know, and so there was a lot of opportunity to do that training, as well as, like you say, how they were being personally impacted by listening to that person's story, narrative.
Well, there's a lot of great ideas, but how do you guys want to translate that into how we're going to function as a board since we're organizing now?
I personally don't know enough about any of the questions that I asked, so I have to wait till we have him here.
Right,
To give us a little bit of a platform, or it's a foundational understanding of any of the things we had, and then build off of where
Yeah.
we see the gaps in what it is that he's saying. Because sometimes when you're in a system, you don't see the gaps as well as when you have fresh eyes that are looking at a system you've been staring at for hours. So maybe there are things that he has in place that have worked really well systemically. And now they might not be working as well because they've shifted their attention to something else, and now we're coming and seeing it. And so it might be a more symbiotic conversation when he's here.
but when we're setting up an agenda for the public to know what we're going to discuss, I think, are we keeping this all under the umbrella of meeting with Chief Lucchese regarding his report? Are we saying that the next section of our agenda, our meeting agenda is going to be sort of?
I think we want to let them know if we want to discuss, like, let's say he came, gave this report, we might want to say it at the end. We'd like you to look at what's available for the policemen as far as what relief they get, how they deal with certain, what kind of things are in place. We'd like you to talk about that at the next meeting. I don't think we can just ask right here and expect them to give a full answer.
Okay. What do you think,
Yeah,
Sharon?
and I do think that there's two things happening here, are functioning as a police commission, but then the knowledge gaps that there are personally for me about like the union contract and what is available to the officers. And I think that for the trainings that Kathy was going to be setting up for us, I think that there's like kind of two things happening. Functioning the commission, but also being able to get the education to function as a commissioner better.
Right.
But, and I don't think our meeting times should be about that training. I think that it wouldn't be the chief's responsibility to explain the union contract to me, right? Like, that's how I would say that part of my responsibility as being a commissioner is being available to read that, look at this and say, and have those questions for him on his report, but keep separate my own, or what I think it might be a knowledge gap for us to function as best we can in that recommendation component.
Right, but to keep my question really more is along to make sure the public knows what we're going to cover at a particular meeting. Now, it may be after the report, it's going to be our recommendation and request time or so forth, just so they get a sense of how we're breaking down our meeting. Though all those things might be short or long, but just to give a sense of when we put our public notice, I'm presuming we have to give an agenda of kind of where we're gonna,
You need to
Handle.
post an agenda 48
Right.
hours in advance.
so.
But you are welcome to, sort of have that core of your agenda and add
To it.
other things on as they.
Okay.
as
Right,
they come.
Right. You were gonna say
What-
something?
Right, because I'm still.
Okay.
What about community events that actually make a cohesive relationship between the community and the officers? Do we have any knowledge of how those are operating or going forth or making connections with people?
Like, for example, Newburgh just did National Night Out.
Right.
A
They did
couple
the
of
Poughkeepsie
places,
too,
yeah.
Well, that's part of what's in his report, right? When he goes
Right.
along with trainings, he also talks about the events that they have been a part of.
Right, like July 9th, he assisted with his officers assisted with NARCAN training at the New Paltz Farmers Market. Would have been nice to know how many people got trained, what was the community response to his officers with making that available.
Or even what they're planning on doing.
Right.
No, in September, we're going to do this community event. But those are things we could probably bring up in our
That's what.
recommendation
All things you
or.
can ask,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
I don't know where it came from, but he was, once a month, was it Saturdays where policemen were available to have conversations at different places.
That's still a monthly event.
Yeah.
That's a month, which is engaging.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then,
Unfortunately, like with most things like this, you don't get the response that you one, I went to two, I think, and there were like four people there, two of them were me and Ashley.
That was a good turnout. But I mean, again, it's like everything else, those things, it depends on the event, right? And what else is going on and the weather and where it is and all these kind of things. So, but yeah, all of those things are in his report and questions that you can ask. If you want further clarification
Right.
about like, you know, those things.
Yeah, because this is just a dry, like, listing, and it doesn't really give any,
Right.
you know, real idea of how is the department responding to the meeting for the intimate partner violence program.
And also, just to your point, Ms. Dixon, is that I said, Ms. Butcher, I said during our NPPRC, like one of my recommendations, and even just in general, police commission, I say to people, if you're having an event, you might want to invite the police. Like when I, you know, in my organization have an event, like had Kwanzaa, I invited the police and have them come, not just as officers. And for some events, like when we did Juneteenth, because of the climate of the country, I said, Chief Lucchese, it would really be nice to have actual police presence, right? But then also inviting them as people to be part of the community. I encourage our community members to do that for their events.
Right. And
Exactly.
I did a welcome back to school event last year, and I do it every year, and we invite Newburgh Police to come, and they took up almost the entire event. They brought fingerprinting for kids so the parents could have ID.
That's exactly
They
what
brought
I'm
the
talking about.
dogs, they brought things for kids to sit behind and take pictures. They were playing games with the kids, they were dancing with the DJ with the kids, they were doing, you know, they invited the kids to do foot patrols, and they happened to see in the neighborhood. The police are now carrying toys that as they do their foot patrols, they can hand them out to the kids. We're doing, we talked about doing a book drive where we would order books and leave them with the local law enforcement, and as they were going through the community on their foot patrols, they would give kids the books. You know, so we're trying to incorporate them as much as possible so that the kids can see the humanity in the officers and the officers can see the humanity in the kids. We're inviting them to come to school to read. And when we do NCSD day, they come in, they explain the dogs. A lot of the kids are afraid of the dogs. There's a history there of, you know, of why our police dogs have been used historically, so it gets passed down generation to generation. The generation of police that are working right now may not use the dogs in that fashion, but historically, in someone's history, it had been. So now we have to deal with the debunking the myth that every dog's going to try to eat you, you know, but you don't want to approach it. So here's what happens when you see a police dog, you just don't run up and grab it. You ask the officer will tell you whether or not you can, because the dog is on duty. And they have to see the dog as an officer. These are things that the kids don't know either. So we have to help create a mutual understanding of one another, because that's gonna really help heal a lot of things too. Because right now, all kids know is what they see on TV and what they hear from angry family members. All police officers know is what they see on TV and what they hear from angry colleagues. So, you know, we have to try to figure out a meeting of the minds there.
And it works.
It does.
It works. Growing up, the housing police officer that was stretched, if he saw you, he knew your parents. They were able to make conversations about things and keep things safe. So sometimes just their presence alone make you go, maybe I won't do that because, you know, but it makes a big difference when you know the officers.
And having, they were on bicycles in Newport when they were doing more bike patrols and things. It was nice because there's a difference between being on a bike where you're vulnerable and being in a car and going through the neighborhood. People see it differently, they interact with you differently. When you're on foot patrol and you're shaking hands,
You
you're
get a chance to
talking,
smile.
people feel, you know, they feel differently about you. They really feel like serve and protect is a thing.
Mhm.
And I know that, you know, sometimes there's a certain face you have to put on,
Of course.
because there are some people that are not making good choices. You have to still be that present. But if we can, like I said, increase the capacity for everybody to kind of understand everybody, maybe we can shift the balance of the corporate angry face to, you know, hey guys, you know. Because these,
You gotta give respect to
I
them.
think that's something you'll would like to see, that none of those barriers are down, and people are more relaxed with interactions.
Mhm.
That's a good goal for us.
Yeah, I just had one question. When I was looking at the website for the police commission or the police, and there was the data for the traffic stops. The only thing I would ask is there was no population level data. It was only the report of female ethnicity and then what the traffic stops were. But it didn't kind of say, and New Paltz has a Hispanic population of 8%. You know, there was, the raw numbers didn't necessarily lend itself to me understanding the impact of what
On a
the.
particular community.
Yeah, did anybody else see that when they were looking at those traffic stops? And the other thing was, I was interested in the number of out-of-towners or out-of-staters that would be stopped and the ethnicity of that, because, you know, that would be something that I think, being that we're here with the throughway and the way we have such a, you know, we're such a tourist destination now, that might be more data for us to have in terms of, you know, how people are being perceived.
We want to have the police focus on out of town, so we can make some money off of
Well, no,
I think it's important that
As soon
maybe
as they get off the.
future reports might need to be tailored differently than they used
Right,
used
these
to
raw
doing it.
numbers,
Right.
because, you know, if they're stopping 140 Caucasians, you know, but, you know, New Paltz is 95% Caucasian, but they're stopping 60 African Americans, that's a very different weight
Well,
of.
you could get that just from
No,
the
no,
population of the breakdown of the town.
but these were stops, these weren't necessarily ticketed events, right? They were just, it was just the raw data, but I didn't feel that it was.
Enough.
We
Yeah.
got about 2,683 ethnic Black people in New Paltz.
What was
And
that?
that's the weight of the
In New
percentage.
Paltz
of them.
area,
Right.
Mhm.
But that's-
compared to the numbers on the other end, so it's not a high population.
But do we consider, because this has always been a factor, when college is in session, they are residents.
Mhm.
So, you know, they're not permanent residents, but they are residents, so it shifts the balance of the demographic.
Mhm.
So is there, you know, are we talking seasonally? Are we talking, you know,
Yeah,
annually? Are we talking?
how to figure out how to work with statistics, it's not a.
You're the math guy.
Well, you know, Mark Twain's comment, that's that there are lies, damn lies, and statistics.
That's right. And the chief will tell you that you can,
You can make it work.
right, and as attorneys, we know that, right? You can argue a statistic or anything, any way that you want to, but I do think it's important that, again, that you ask those questions. I just want to say that you don't need to feel like today you have to tackle all of these things, right? This is an organizational meeting.
Mhm.
We're not gonna
And
solve everything.
all of, you're not gonna solve all these questions, and a lot of these questions that you have are all things that you ask of the chief, right? And when, that's why you get the monthly report, because it will bring up these issues, and then you can ask very specific questions about those things and bring those things up, so.
Plus, it'll be an opportunity for him to learn things that we're most interested in and that he would need to have answers for.
Yeah, you can ask him.
I
for
mean,
whatever. Yep.
just general comment, I found the chief very forthcoming with it. all.
Yes,
He
is.
he is.
I don't feel resistant to this, anything, which is very nice.
And when he's on the safety committee at New Paltz School District, when I observed the safety committee meeting, and he was part of the panel, offering suggestions and strategies, he was very proactive in the things that he was offering.
And he followed through.
So is there anything else we want organizationally regarding future meetings, at least to start out with, we might want to tweak it?
I want something for my car, so I don't get any tickets.
Don't forget you're being taped, all right?
I don't have a problem with it.
And then,
I was gonna say, good luck with that.
Yeah, right.
Can we go backward for a second, because I might have missed this, I know we chose second Tuesday, did we choose a time?
Well, I guess-
I would
I thought it was after
after
seven.
7.
7:00, okay.
so who prepares our agenda? Is that our
Your
secretary?
secretary.
Which we're making the request to the town board for.
That's what I was just gonna say, you're making the request to town board, so that
So
would be
would that be
in our minutes. and
somebody
I
who
will
works
also
for
go
the
back.
town board that would be assigned to us, for overtime or something?
My understanding is that there is,
It would be a town contractor, so it would be hired by the town. But you're absolutely willing
So
to
the
make
secretary-
recommendations or.
If we get
Okay.
making money, we give them nothing.
You cut that?
You figured out our secret.
And I'm not getting anything for my car or advance for my.
No,
Not even coffee.
Not even
Bring
reading
coffee.
You could bring
classes,
coffee.
the amount for everything.
Say what?
I said you could bring coffee.
I could put it, but I won't
Not this late at night.
put a decaf.
So does anyone else want to bring anything up before we adjourn?
Do you want
Say
to
it's really
set the
nice
next
finding
meeting?
you.
The next meeting is this, you said second Tuesday of the month, which would be what?
September,
I know.
September 13th.
So it can't be on the 13th.
Well, it's not Friday.
It's not a Friday, it's a Tuesday.
You could be afraid of 13th, it's not a 15th.
I already have this in here.
Is that a Rosh Hashanah weekend? I don't know the holidays anymore now that my kids are old.
Sometimes my phone will.
It's a
tell me.
Tuesday.
Yes, it doesn't show it on
So it's
my.
not out.
I'll check on that.
Okay. After the meeting, I will need assistance on that. Somos. I don't know what I did.
Okay.
I didn't get out, I think. Okay, so is there a motion to?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a
Adjournment.
question before we go to the
Wait.
liaison.
Yes.
You guys had a tremendous amount of trouble getting enough people to apply for this. Right?
I mean, you all are here.
Yeah, I know. How many people applied for this?
I don't have the number off the top of my head.
I believe there were 4 or 5 other folks, some of whom withdrew their applications.
So they applied and then withdrew.
Yeah.
A few did, yeah.
So 4 or 5 others left us now.
And some that were not chosen. Yeah.
Rosh Hashanah is.
But remember-
September 26th.
Oh, okay.
And just remember that there will be opportunities for others, right? Because your terms there are
No,
terms.
I was just disappointed that you didn't have more people applied, that it took so long because you wanted to get more people to apply. but I wasn't curious.
Well, I just want to say that I am really happy to have all of you. We really appreciate your service. It's really an important, thankless kind of job. And so that's the reason why it's hard to get people to apply. It's how it works. So I really do appreciate you all. Thank you. I think you're doing a great job already.
I think we should bring more
We-
attention to what it is that we do also, and the positive things that come out of this kind of a relationship with law enforcement, maybe more people will want to be part of it.
Good
Because
point.
When you talk about an oversight committee, everybody always goes right to the negative,
Negative, yeah.
and they don't think of all the positive things, you know?
Sounds like a media opportunity.
Well, I think maybe we should also talk about that then as a board, like, do we want to publicize it in some way? I realize we don't have a budget, so we'd have to figure that out, but school districts can certainly publicize it. Yeah, since we'll be working with them, just kind of let people know that, hey, we have a police commission.
Oh.
Do people even know that? I mean,
I
there's a
would be
lot of people
surprised.
who might not.
Well, you can always invite them
Why don't we
maybe
put-
to your
And
meetings,
remember,
'cause
it's publicly
public
noticed, so
event.
yeah, people do know.
So if you know anybody, you can always drop. a
Where
phone
is it
number.
publicly noticed? I've never seen
It's
it.
on the town website.
Oh, it's, you have to go proactive on the
Yeah.
website. Okay.
So we have.
I saw it in the paper, that's
Right.
how I
Yes.
contacted, because I was like,
New York Times
Wyoming,
as well.
why
Yeah.
Wyoming? Because the public notice was in
I
the
don't think
newspaper. That's a Valley one. I don't get the regular.
Would
one.
it,
We do also have public access TV.
Mhm.
Okay.
would
It's
it be
on
worth
there
it to
too.
try and get
Yeah, I
somebody
believe
from
it is.
Hudson Valley want to talk to us? Or to talk about the
Attend
police
a meeting
commission?
and
Or is
just-
that not-
I
Terrence
believe,
is here also.
Terrence was notified, but I can let
Pretty
him
sure
know
he
that
was
you've set
too.
the date for your meetings and
Mhm.
that he's welcome to attend.
Who is that?
Terrence.
Terrence is the
Terrence.
reporter.
One who usually does all the writing.
He's been covering the police commission meetings while they were
Yeah, he
on
does
the
that
town
on
board.
the.
There's a motion on the table for adjournment.
I went to second it and.
We moved on.
I just pulled out of the whole thing.
Is that an official second?
Is that official second? Vote?
I'm opposed,
Uh,
but that's-
Okay, meeting adjourned. Everyone.